Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening and watching the Football Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Pipkin, joined as ever by my co host, Tom Walker. This is your home for tips, insight, and discussion on England's top four football leagues. We've got an action packed show once again for you today. We're going to go through all of the leagues, picking out our betting highlights. I'm going to wrap them up in a little treble at the end, and then we're going to go through fantasy football as well. We are sponsored as ever by our friends at matchbook.com. You can bag yourself a sign-up bonus of a £30 money back as a free bet using the sign-up code TFB podcast. Lots to look forward to today, Tom.
Yeah, lots to look forward to, mate. Feels like we've got some pod favourites that we are enjoying backing at the moment, and we've got some pod favourites that we're enjoying going against at the moment as well, and then a couple of things in between. So yeah, season really shaping up nicely, and can't wait to get started, to be honest. Although I will be honest with you, the first game that we're going to discuss on the show this week, not my favourite that I've covered. I'll be honest with you.
No. So all odds we're going to read out on the show today are from matchbook.com. We're going to start by looking through the Premier League games, going through them one by one, picking out our best bets for each game. We are recording on Wednesday night, so there's midweek Premier League action going off. We've seen the Tuesday night and Wednesday night games. We haven't seen the couple that are on Thursday, so you've got Fulham Villa and Leicester Leeds that we've not seen. So, yeah, apologies that our data and statistics on Fulham Villa, Leicester and Leeds aren't going to be 100% up to date, but everything else is. And as Tom rightly says, we get kicked off on Saturday at 12:30 at the City Ground for our beloved Nottingham Forest, 12.5 at home to Liverpool. The draw is 6.6. Liverpool, as you'd expect, very short at 1.28. What's the best you think Forest can hope for here?
A close margin defeat, I think.
And scoring a goal would be nice.
Scoring a goal would be good. I'm not sure. I think Liverpool 2-0 is the kind of thing that I'm looking at. Liverpool and under 3.5 is what I'm going to tip out, which is 2.34, which to me is a sparkling little price. I think the one thing we've got to, if you're not keeping up with Forest at the minute, and obviously me and Tom are closer than any other team in the 92, you might just see us, not picking up wins and being at the bottom and, maybe thinking that this is going to be, 6, 7, 8 or maybe a 9-0. But I don't think that's the case. Since they lost to Leicester in utterly embarrassing fashion, Forest have kept a clean sheet against Brighton, conceded just a penalty against Wolves, and a 25-yard half volley, low XG goal from Ashley Young. In terms of being carved open and, someone sticking the ball back in the net, not happened. Yes, Brighton created a lot of chances and on another night could have won. But Forest are taking pride in defending and being tough to beat at the moment, and they're kind of building from the back. They are, of course, massively goal shy at the moment. And Liverpool, obviously got that win against West Ham and dispatched Rangers, and the Man City result, of course, leaps out. But I'm still not thinking that they're back to being one of the best teams in the world in their current guise. 2.34, Liverpool and under 3.5, 2-0, I think.
Yeah, I do like that. And I suppose I'm trying to think of some positives for Forest. I certainly don't think we're going to get anything from the game, but it does come at the end of a tough week, would you say? This is Liverpool's third game in 7 days, after beating Man City. That fantastic win for them, but probably took a lot out of them, followed by a Wednesday nighter at home to West Ham. And then this one coming on Saturday lunchtime. So it's been a pretty quick turnaround this week for Liverpool in particular. So, yeah, maybe a little bit of fatigue that Forest could potentially have in their corner.
Yeah, I think Forest can get at them in midfield, to be honest. A severe lack of legs in that 4-4-2 Liverpool played on Wednesday. So, yeah, we'll see. But Liverpool and under 3.5 for me.
I like it. Everton Palace up next, and there's only 2 3 o'clocks this Saturday. This is the first 2.68 for Everton at home, 3.3 for the draw, and 3.05 for Crystal Palace. I kind of looked at this, and result-wise, I was really unsure. Everton have got just one win this season at home. Palace haven't won at all away from home this season. So, really torn in that regard. If anything, I was going to go for unders here. So under 2.5 was what I looked at mainly. 1.7 is the price. So the punters on Matchbook kind of agree with me there. It's fairly short. Palace have played 4 away from home in the league. 3 have been under. Everton have played 5 at home and 4 have been under. So, yeah, I think the stats lend themselves to an unders game.
They do, mate. 72.73% of Everton's games unders with an average of 0.73 goals scored per game, and Palace a smidge over at 1.2. I think obviously we got Palace in 10th, Everton in 15th. This just feels very mid-tabley, and whenever you have 2 mid-table teams, it's because none of them can string together a clutch of wins, and they're not bad enough, to go 5-6 on the run without defeat. So very hard to call the result. So I always go for a goals method in these mid-table clashes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, up next then we have Manchester City at home to Brighton. City, as you'd expect, short at 1.23. The draws at 8.0 and Brighton are 15.0. Surely it'd be an absolute coupon buster if Brighton managed to get anything from this game. The transition from Potter to De Zerbi, not quite as smooth as many expected, especially after a 3-3 draw at Anfield in his first game in charge. They fired a blank in the 3 games after that, including a 0-0 in midweek against Forest. So if you're not scoring goals, it's certainly of concern going away to the Etihad. And I feel like we mention this stat every single week on the pod, but it's worth repeating because it keeps continuing. Manchester City at home in the Premier League cannot stop scoring goals. It's 9 games in a row now. They've scored over 3 goals at home in a Premier League game. And a lot of the time, it's over 3. It's 4s, 5s, and even 6s. So I think the angle that I was looking at here is maybe Man City on the handicap, Man City from an overs goals perspective, something like that. Were you thinking on the same lines?
Yeah, you basically took everything from my notes here. Just feel like De Zerbi and Brighton are kind of dining out on that, taking the lead at Anfield. I feel like they're not getting scrutinised that much. Obviously, I think I read a stat the other day that said they've had something like 35 shots without scoring over the last 3 games. But that's, to me, that's down to not having a prolific front man and having attacking players like Solly March and Trossard, who we saw with Trossard at Liverpool actually. A couple games this season they're world beaters, but consistency is a bit of an issue, especially full on number 9s. I mean, I like Welbeck, but I don't think he's cut out for the level of Brighton. So couldn't agree any more with what you're saying, mate.
Yeah, in terms of actual prices, I guess it depends how confident in Man City you are. You could have Man City and over 2.5, that's 1.67. Man City and over 3.5 is 2.52. Then over 4.5 is 4.0. So, yeah, depending on how bad you think it could get for Brighton and what kind of mood Man City are in, and Haaland in particular, yeah, you could get some decent prices, I think, if you expect City to get 4 or 5. Moving on to the 5:30 game then, Chelsea against Manchester United, 2.18 for Chelsea, 3.6 for the draw and 3.7 for United. Do you have any strong fancies in this particular game?
I don't think I expect Man U to go there and get beaten, to be honest with you. They've been the second best team in the league over the last 8 games. So 19 points, bettered only by Arsenal on 21. Third best away record, and they've played a game less than Chelsea, who occupy second. They've got the plan down, haven't they? Obviously, the attention was drawn to Ronaldo with his little attention-seeking efforts at the end of the game in midweek, which is a shame because obviously they put away a good team in Tottenham. Yeah, I just fancy Man U not to lose. I don't know if I'm brave enough to pluck anything out there in terms of results and all that kind of stuff on the nose, but Man U double chance 1.75. Chelsea, they are the fifth best team over the last 8. But yeah, I'm just not feeling as comfortable in Chelsea getting a win as I do United going there and avoiding defeat. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I was really unsure with this. I was kind of leaning towards Chelsea, then the midweek results swayed me off a little bit. I was thinking maybe the unders price under 2.5 is 2.02, so that's over evens. It certainly doesn't leap off the page as a goal fest, a particularly exciting one to me.
Yeah, true.
United have had 3 in a row that have been under 2.5. Chelsea have had 3 in a row also in all competitions under 2.5. They've kept 5 clean sheets in a row. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's two sides here that at the moment are pretty defensively sound and are scoring 1 or 2 goals.
Do you know what? Sorry to interrupt, mate. On Chelsea, like you just have to have a look at their last few results, and it might not be as impressive as people are making out. So they beat Wolves, poor team. They beat Milan in the Champions League away. Obviously, Tomori with a red card pretty early. That changes the entire challenge. Beat Villa, for me, one of the worst teams in the league, maybe the third worst team in the league at the moment. And then drew away at Brentford, 0-0, failed to score. So I feel like, we're all gunning for Potter, and I feel like he's getting a lot of praise, and rightfully so. But might not be as good as we all think.
Yeah, no, I completely take that point. Well, kind of segues nicely into the Sunday games, of which the first involves Aston Villa. They're at home to Brentford. 2.1 for Villa to get the win, 3.7 for the draw, and 3.75 for Brentford. Brentford not to lose was the only major thing I thought, but other than that, not sure.
I smell blood. I smell blood, mate.
Is it Steven Gerrard's blood?
Yeah, it's Scouse blood. Yeah, I'm back in the bees here. Brentford, sure, not firing on all cylinders. You'd love to be backing them with 4 consecutive wins or whatever. But, they've only lost 1 in the last 4, including a win against Brighton, as we mentioned earlier. And Villa, just, 5 games since they scored more than 1 goal in a game. And they've only done so once in their last 6. I just feel like he's a dead man walking. I feel like this is a matter of time. And I don't trust this Villa team to do anything at all, to be honest with you. Short of ideas going forward, midfield is basically Douglas Luiz, but for me, he's dropping way too deep to affect anything. And then at the back, it's just all at sea, and it's Emi Martinez just getting absolutely peppered like a steak. And yeah, I'm in on the bees. I feel like if they're on it, Brentford, right? Tony's in the mood, something like that. 3.75, you'll be laughing to the bank. I feel like I'm genuinely willing to back almost anybody against Villa. Almost. We saw Forest, right? A lot of people say Forest are the worst team in the league. We saw them almost beat them this season. I would back anyone against Villa, especially a team equipped with, an England international striker such as Ivan Toney.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and yeah, 3.75 for Brentford looks like a very good price if you are right in what you think. Leeds Fulham then is the next one, 2.14 for Leeds, 3.6 for the draw, and 3.5 for Fulham. And this game, I couldn't give a monkeys result-wise. I think we'll get goals. We mentioned it last week. Say it again. Fulham are a dream for goals in the Premier League. They've had 8 consecutive games that have been not only both teams to score, but both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. In fact, the last 4 consecutive Premier League games have been both teams to score and over 3.5 goals. So, goals is following them around in both ends at the moment. Great entertainment. And I think up against the Leeds side, who themselves can have a bit of a penchant for scoring and conceding goals on their day, I think we can see goals again. Both teams to score is probably the main tip. The price at time of recording isn't on Matchbook because both of these sides play on Thursday night. So the prices for the Sunday game, haven't been released yet. But yeah, I just think it'll be a really entertaining one to watch, this one.
Yeah, totally. Like I think I said a few weeks ago, I kind of expected Fulham and Bournemouth to kind of, their good starts to fade away a little bit. And yeah, Fulham conceding all over the place at the moment, but scoring, as you said. This Tom reminds me of the Everton Palace game where we've got two teams pretty evenly matched. I'm not sure on the results, but the goals leaps out. So we'll go with that.
Yeah. Okay, up next then, 4 2:00 games again, by the way, this Sunday. It just seems like I don't like the scheduling.
Yeah.
4 games at 2:00. Not a fan of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Southampton Arsenal, 5.7 for the Saints, 4.5 for the draw, 1.63 for Arsenal. Arsenal still leading the way at the top of the Premier League, a 4-point gap ahead of Manchester City. That could be down to 1 point if Man City beat Brighton by the time this game rolls around. However, 1.63 for Arsenal. They are getting a little bit too short for my liking in these kind of games.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think they'll win, but it's a little bit short at 1.63. Their away games we've seen so far this season, they've beaten Leeds to 0, they've beaten Brentford to 0, they've beaten Bournemouth to 0, they've beaten Palace to 0. So, their only loss came against Manchester United away 3-1. So, those 4 teams beat them all to 0. Some of them certainly better teams than Southampton. I certainly expect them to do it again, but yeah, as I say, fraction short for me at 1.63.
Yeah, Arsenal all day. Southampton with a bit more confidence and they're winning midweek. Wouldn't go near it at that price. Move on.
Move on to Wolves Leicester then. So 2.26 for Wolves, 3.5 for the draw, and 3.3 for Leicester to get the win. This is kind of a potential relegation clash, really, at the moment, isn't it? Wolves in 18th, Leicester in 20th.
You'd have to say.
Both teams very much struggling. Worth taking a moment, I think, to talk about the potential managerial appointment of Michael Beale at Wolves. Seems like it's could be a goer from all the reports that I've been reading today, at least. Anyway, if he goes, good appointment.
Yeah, a fast appointment. He's obviously, not many managers go, if any. Actually, I'd love to know if it's ever been done. Go from number 2 at another club to number 1 at another Premier League club. And I'm not talking caretakers getting a job on a full-time at the same club. I'm talking, let's pluck 2 random clubs. I'm talking, Fulham hiring Everton's assistant manager. Like, it just never happens. And obviously, Beale has had a matter of months in the hot seat at QPR. Yes, they look like one of the better teams in the league for sure. It's a big gamble on a guy who has been good for, honestly, a few months. If this was any other job in the world, I don't know if you'd be getting a promotion after a few months of 7, 8 out of 10 work. I don't know. I hope it works out because I like these kind of appointments. But it's a big risk for Wolves, really big risk.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't have to change his name to like Michel Bielino or something like that.
Yeah. Mendes is going to be fuming. He's not getting any commission on this.
In terms of result, have you got any strong fancies or any particular bets for the game?
Absolutely zero. We've got a team who can't score, against a team that constantly concedes but can score. We've got the worst away team in the league, 5 defeats on the spin against a team who have got 8 points from 5 and at home. And I watched them against Forest, obviously. Sorry to keep bringing up Forest, but yeah, watched them. Could have easily drawn if Brennan Johnson didn't miss that penalty. And Wolves never really looked like scoring until their penalty. It's Diego Costa looks like he belongs in the Masters League. To be honest with you, it's not pretty. And obviously Forest cap on, hoping for a draw. Wouldn't know anywhere to go with this.
Yeah, agreed. Tottenham Newcastle then rounds us off for Sunday. This is the 4:30 kickoff. 2.14 for Spurs, 3.65 for the draw, and 3.7 for Newcastle. And Newcastle away from home lost just once in the league so far. They've got the best defensive record of all the teams in the Premier League. We saw them go away to Old Trafford last weekend and get a 0-0 draw there. Could they do the same away at Tottenham? I'm kind of inclined to go for Spurs. I know they weren't the best in midweek against Manchester United, but I just can't stop looking at their home record in the league and how good it is. They've won 8 consecutive league games in a row. Obviously, this goes back to last season. 10 of the last 11 they've won. And yeah, I can't escape the fact that they're very, very strong in the league at home. Do Newcastle have enough about them to get something from the game? Yes, but I don't know. I just can't deny that record.
Yeah, it's the joint toughest place to go, along with the Emirates and the Etihad. Yeah, honestly, I don't mean to be a fence sitter. I'm still trying to work Newcastle out. To be honest, like, how good are they? I honestly don't know. Like, I've watched them obviously in bits and bobs, and I've watched highlights. I've watched a couple of full matches, but I just can't figure it out. Like, I feel like where they are in the league is justified, but obviously there's a hell of a lot of draws in there as well. And I don't know, they remind me of Sticky. I don't trust them. I'm still trying to work them out. I'm sorry if I'm behind kind of the 8 ball on this one. Me trying to figure everything out, but they've only lost 1 in the league. They've got the joint least amount of losses. It blows my mind a bit, and I'm not ready to go with them or against them in any capacity until I learn more.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. We'll move to Monday then with West Ham against Bournemouth to round us out for the Premier League. 1.57 for the Hammers, 4.3 for the draw, and 6.2 for Bournemouth. Now, still Bournemouth no closer, it seems, to appointing a permanent manager, unless I've missed something over the last few days. What I did see is when they've played away in the Premier League, they've conceded at least 2 goals in every single game, which is certainly not a recipe for success away from home, at least anyway. I'm going to go for West Ham here, 1.57, but they are too short. The price is too short for me to actually bet on, but I think they'll win.
Yeah. If you want me to read out who I think is going to win, West Ham. They haven't lost any of the last 5 home games, and they've won 4 matches in a row in East London. But I'm not going anywhere near them at that price. No chance.
Well, that then rounds out the Premier League. Let's just take a moment to talk about our sponsor, Matchbook, and then we'll dive into the Championship, League One and League Two.
Yeah, we are really fortunate to be sponsored by Matchbook. We've got a sign-up offer for new customers. It's a £30 back as a free bet if your first bet loses offer. So, for example, if you're looking at that West Ham game, for example, and you want to put some money on West Ham, you put the bet down and they don't win, you'll get that money back as a free bet to reinvest into something else. You do need a sign-up code. It's TFB Podcast, as in the Football Betting Podcast. So make sure you do sign up today. I mean, some great prices on Matchbook, just across the board and in general. You'll often find if you're using one of your kind of odds comparison services that Matchbook will always be there or thereabouts, particularly on correct score markets, which is something me and Tom found out about just yesterday, and it's an absolute goldmine. So if you do want to go and check it out, I'd recommend doing so at matchbook.com.
Thank you, Tom. So let's go into the Championship then. And, we slate the Championship most weeks, don't we, for being very tough to predict. But I've seen a lot of stats and tweets flying around this week that kind of just epitomise why it is so tricky to pick, I think, winners. You've got Blackburn, who are sat in second place. They've lost 7 games already out of 16, yet they're still in second. There's only, 2 teams in this division, 3 teams in the division that have lost more games than Blackburn, yet Blackburn are still in second place. There's 6 points separating second and 12th. It's really tight, really, really tight. So you're doing well if you pick winners in the Championship, I think, at the moment.
Absolutely.
In terms of this week, sorry, were you going to?
No, just going to say I totally agree.
In terms of this week, I'm going to get us started with the good old new manager bounce. One of the questions I asked you, Tom, wasn't it, before we started recording, how much do we believe in Michael Carrick and his ability to fashion something from Middlesbrough? They're 1.45 to win at home to Huddersfield Town this weekend. Now, Huddersfield sitting rock bottom of the Championship, just 3 wins and 9 defeats from their opening 14 games. Middlesbrough, they've just inched themselves out of the relegation zone. They're now 2 points above it, having done a 4-1 win in midweek. Middlesbrough have agreed terms with Michael Carrick to take over as their new manager. He'll be in the dugout for this weekend. And that reason, as well as this morale-boosting 4-1 win they've got before he's come in the door, I think they'll get a win at home to a really struggling Huddersfield Town this weekend. Apart from those 2 things that I've said about Middlesbrough, I've not really got anything else positive to say about them because they've been pretty dire this season. But yeah, Huddersfield struggled massively away from home as well. They've conceded at least 2 goals in 6 consecutive league games. And I certainly think they're going to face another defeat from Carrick and Middlesbrough this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not massively on board. I don't know anything about Carrick as a manager, but I know what my eyes tell me about Huddersfield and just about back anyone against them, I think, to be honest with you. Not a good time. Burnley, Tom, 2.48 for me. I'm backing Burnley. Expect them to win the league. Said it from the very beginning and expect it still. Sunderland have been good at home. Let's not shy away from that and let's not skew the stats to make Burnley sound unbeatable. They've played 7 games at home, Sunderland, and they've won 2, drawn 4 and lost 1. Burnley, on the other hand, played 8 away games, won 3, drew 4, lost just 1. So it's kind of, a good home side against a good away side. I just think Burnley are in the groove. I know they let us down every now and then with a bit of a disappointing draw, i.e. midweek away at, honestly, a decent Birmingham team. It's been a long time since I said that. But, don't let that bother you, I don't think, because the game before, big game against Swansea, everyone's wondering, who's going to out-football who, and it honestly was men against boys. And when Burnley are on it, they are the best team in the league by an absolute mile. An absolute mile. Nathan Teller's catching my eye. 5 goals in 13 games from him on the wing. And Sunderland still decimated with injuries. Still relying on midfielders and attacking midfielders to go and get those goals. Ross Stewart has just played 7 games so far, and he's managed to score 5 in that time. He clearly can find the back of the net. Ellis Sims has got 3 in 8. Worth checking the team sheet, see if any of those are knocking around. But yeah, Burnley for me, I'll back them anywhere they go this season at any given time. They're 2.48 away at the Stadium of Light.
Completely agree. It's lovely, that is. Again, an example of a championship team at a very good price, above evens, who, if they win, quids in. Because, I agree. Love Burnley. Think they're the best team in the league, like you do.
Yeah.
Another team for me at a good price, 2.68, it's Millwall. They're at home to West Brom. Millwall, let's talk about them first. Fantastic at the Den this season. They've played they've played 8 games at home. They've won 6 of them. So fantastic record, one of the best in the league. Put an exclamation point on that with a very comfortable 3-0 win at home to Watford in midweek. They come up against this West Brom side who I really can't work out at all. Last week on the pod, I tipped Reading to beat West Brom, I believe. You kind of shied me away from it because it was the first game since Steve Bruce got sacked. Turns out you were right. West Brom beat Reading 2-0. They then followed that up with a 2-0 defeat to Bristol City in midweek. And I'm completely scratching my head about them because you think this new dawn, Steve Bruce-less new dawn, gets kicked off with a decent 2-0 win, and then it just goes back to type against Bristol City in midweek. I just can't trust them at all, can't back them at all, and they're going away to a Millwall side who are really strong at home, and I just can't. Yeah, that price for Millwall, I love it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I like Millwall. I had it wrote down myself. Tom, I'm going for a continuity tip next. It's a team I believe in the long term. It's Sheffield United. They are at home to Norwich. I mean, crazy, isn't it? Sheffield United haven't won in 5. Norwich haven't won in 4. Both won 1 in their last 6. Kind of crazy, isn't it? Sheffield United were absolutely flying earlier. And Norwich, you just automatically think that, without looking at the table, they'll be in the top 2. I mean, let's not over-exaggerate. Sheffield United are 4th, Norwich are 6th. So, they're still hanging on in there. But, definitely dropped off a little bit. I think Sheffield United are the better team over a long stretch. I think if this game is played 10 times, I fancy Sheffield United to win maybe 6, 7 of them. Certainly not. This is certainly a tip for the brave. This is not, a 1-2 banker or anything like that. But I do like Sheffield United. They're only 4 points off having the best home record in the division, and they've played a game less than every single team above them. So, for example, if they did win that, they would go to 3rd for the best home record. And obviously, we all know how far back their great home record stretched previously. There's nothing, in my eyes, to suggest that now they're a bad team at all. I think this is just a slump. Norwich, on the other hand, I do have a problem with them, to be honest with you. I feel like Sheffield United have an identity. They have better players. They have a better way of playing. They have more players that can hurt you. They have better defender. I just feel like everything is a bit clearer. Norwich, even though they're 6th, everything does seem a bit, I feel like Dean Smith is 2 defeats on the sack at any given moment. And that can't be a good foundation. They've struggled. Sheffield United have struggled. But I fancy the Blades to come out on top. 2.5. I'm into it.
Okay. I toyed with QPR. They're 1.98 at home to Wigan, but then with the whole Michael Beale stuff potentially moving to Wolves, it makes me a bit on edge about that one.
Yeah, they could have Ian Beale in the dugout by then. Definitely don't want that, do you?
Come on, imagine. That'd be a sight. So I think I'll leave that one really, but shall we move to League One?
No, how dare you? How dare you? Sunday, Tom. Really exciting Sunday in the Champ, by the way. Derby Day. Swansea, Cardiff, and Watford, Luton. And we're focusing...
same bloody time.
Yeah, they are for some reason. I'm looking at the Watford Luton game, and we're back in Luton, 3.55. I backed them away at Norwich in midweek. Came out of that absolutely no problem. Watford, Tom, scratch your eyes and all that. Obviously, a famous line from Watford's commentary. They're 15th. The Slaven Bilic kind of impact has been pretty pitiful. They've won 1 in 3, losing 1 in 4, losing the other 3. Are Luton getting promoted? Because they made the playoffs last season. They got off to a slow start, and I feel like that's really holding them back in a lot of people's minds. I feel like people haven't kind of like woke up to the fact that they are 5th now in the table. In terms of the form table, they're 4th. They're just 3 points off Swansea, who have been the best team in the last 8. And I really like Luton away. I'm okay with it. They've got the second best record on the road, 1 point behind Preston. But again, just like the Sheffield United stat I read out, they've played a game less. So they're only 1 point off Preston. You know, get a draw or whatever, they'd have the best record, joint best away from home in the league. And if they won, obviously they would have the outstanding best. I'm all in on Luton. Like I predicted before the season, I thought that they would be in the playoffs, and eventually, I think I had them losing Swansea, but I fully expect them to really challenge at the top. It's wide open. It really is. And we love the Championship, Tom, but we spoke time and time again about the lack of quality this year is absolutely dire, to be honest with you. But we still love the leagues, and I'm ready to back Luton. They've won 4 of 7 on the road. And yeah, Slaven Bilic just, a few little Twitter murmurs today already, because it's Watford, that he might be in trouble. So 3.55, let's capitalise.
Please. It's kind of at the point where I don't like people to be sacked, really, but it'd just be funny, wouldn't it? It's just banter at this stage. If they sacked him again before the World Cup and
Unbelievable, aren't they?
For another manager, it'd be mental. It'd be so Watford, so completely expected at the same time.
Cracking payout for Bilic, by the way. So
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Right, shall we move to League One now?
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to get us kicked off then with something you like the look of?
Green Army.
Green Army.
Yeah, we're fighting fire with fire here. I mean, we've got a team that's won 5 in a row, and we're going against them, to be honest with you. And that's because Plymouth have won 6 in a row and not lost in their last 13. Their opponents are Bristol Rovers. Joey Barton's done it again, hasn't he? Comes out with an outrageous comment, gets everyone stirred up. You can't be saying that. And it looks like it's worked, because they're up to 12th. And yeah, they look pretty good at the moment. But Plymouth are going to lose, by the way, eventually, or draw, or whatever. But right now, they're showing no signs at all of slowing up. And if I fight fire with fire, Bristol Rovers fire and Plymouth fire, I think Plymouth win. This game's played 10 times. Plymouth win 8, maybe 7. Like, I'm happy to back Plymouth. They look absolutely formidable. And I think their players are better, their system's better, they're more settled in their own skin. I think it's built a bit more sustainably. Sure, players like, Aaron Collins, let's give him all the credit in the world for Bristol Rovers. He's been brilliant, but this is his first season at League One level, and there's a lot of players for Bristol Rovers who are kind of finding out about themselves at this level. And, Plymouth had the playoff campaign last year. They've kind of been here a bit more, and they're a bit more seasoned, and I would rather go with that, I think, in a fire with fire situation. I'm backing Plymouth all day, mate. They are 4 points clear at the top of the table. They've won 11 of 14. It's not going to last forever. I don't think, but yeah, they look absolutely unbelievable at the moment, and I'm ready to back them again.
Yep, just got to keep riding that wave, haven't we?
Yeah.
For me, both teams to score tip in the game between Oxford and Peterborough. So both teams to score here is 1.75. Obviously not the best price we'll read out all weekend in terms of size, but I certainly think it will come in. Peterborough, they're a bad away side. Bad. In 7 away games in the league so far this season, they've conceded 2 or more in 6 of those 7 games. They've lost 5 or 7 on the road. So really, really struggling on the travels. Oxford haven't kept a clean sheet at home since the 6th of August. So that's been getting on for 3 months now since they last kept a clean sheet at home. So put those two things together. Peterborough can't keep a clean sheet away. Oxford can't keep a clean sheet at home. But saying that, both of these two sides more than capable of scoring goals as well. So yeah, I think both teams to score should be a lock in this one.
I like it. Barnsley, Tom, next one for me. Away at Morecambe, they're priced at 1.90. I feel like I've said this before, so, regular listeners, apologies for repeating, but I just feel like Barnsley are going massively under the radar. I don't know if it's because as a club, maybe they're a bit less sexy than like Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich and Derby and stuff like that, and maybe they don't have the kind of underdog story of Plymouth, but they're nestled right in there. Anyone sleeping on Barnsley is making a mistake because they're in sixth position. Sure, there is a bit of a gap. There's 9 points between them and Ipswich in second, but they got a game in hand, and it's early days. Barnsley away from home, not lost any of their last 6. They've got a decent record, the 4th best in the division on their travels. And Tom, they are. I mean, I don't mean to bash poor old Morecambe, but it's not looking good for them, is it? They are bottom of almost every metric. The league table, the last 8 games form table, they are bottom of the home form table. They are winless in 6, just 2 draws to show for their efforts this season. They've also got the worst attack in the league with just 10 goals in 13. Away from home, they've only got 2 more points than the worst team in the league, which, for your information, is Cambridge. And in terms of defence, it's the 5th worst. It's not looking good, is how I'd like to summarise it. And I think Barnsley are going massively under the radar. They've got some really nice players that I am a big fan of. And of course, Michael Duff is someone I am a huge fan of. So yeah, I'm back in the Tykes, mate. 1.9. I think that's a sneaky good price.
Yeah, I did have this one, but I want to throw out a little extension to it that I had.
Yeah, please
which
do.
is, I think Barnsley will win and both teams will score.
Okay.
I know you read out those stats for Morecambe there. They're very bad.
Yeah, worst attack in the league. Go on.
Not kept a clean. Yeah, I have not kept a clean sheet since the 30th of July. So long old time since they've kept one out the goal. But looking at it positively from Morecambe's perspective, they have scored in the last 5 consecutive games. 6 of the last 7 games they've scored a goal. So, it's usually just the solitary goal, but they are at least now getting on the score sheet, which is why I think maybe they can score this weekend again at home to Barnsley. However, they will ultimately come up short.
Okay. I am expensed in League One, mate. So take it away with anything you've got left.
It's not a massively strong one, but I was looking at Wycombe away at Milton Keynes Dons. Wycombe priced at 2.45 for the victory. And this is more so just because MK Dons are so bad, aren't they?
Yeah, they're
So
horrendous.
really bad. 3 wins, 9 defeats, 1 draw from their opening 13 games. They're in 22nd in the league. I feel like I'm waiting for it to turn, and it's just not turning. So I'm just going to go against them again. They've lost 6 of the last 7 games. conceding plenty of goals. At home, they're at home to Wycombe this weekend. They've lost the last 4 home games in a row. Wycombe are all right. They've won 2 in a row. That's probably the best thing I can say about them at the moment. I just think MK Dons are so bad, it wouldn't surprise me if Wycombe do a job on them this weekend and kind of pile on the misery.
Yes. I'm not fully in bed with Wycombe right now, but
No, I agree.
yeah, if they're gonna play anyone, MK Dons are as bad as Morecambe, I think, in their current guys right now. So yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah. All right, let's League 2 then, shall we?
Yeah, I'll get us kicked off.
League, mate. This is a good league.
Yeah, it is. It's probably a
Every-
favourite of the pot. If I was to do power rankings for bets, League 2, undisputed champ. Then League 1, I think. Then the Premier League, and then the champ.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that's what I like the look of. Although, saying that, if you can pick the winners in the champ, as you said before, it's very rewarding. Prem's got a lot of, like Liverpool this weekend, 1 point, whatever they were, 3 or whatever it is. Anyway, Mansfield, they are not 1.3, they're 1.75 away at Crawley. I think Mansfield are going to win the league, Tom.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think they're going to do it. They're 4th right now, so this isn't me just looking at the top of the league going, oh, I think they're going to win the league. Stevenage have got quite a run on them. So currently it's 6 points, but Mansfield have a game in hand. It's pretty exciting at the top of League 2. It's not getting the coverage of the champ, Tom, but only 6 points separate Salford in 8th and Stevenage at the top. So it is pretty exciting for the auto places. Anyway, Mansfield away at Crawley, who have stuck with Kevin Betsy, despite the NFT project not quite getting off the ground. They're in 23rd, and they had aspirations to make the playoffs, probably, at the very least. They have won their last 2 games. I've skewed it a bit. Villa under-21s in the Pizza Trophy in midweek, and Newport, managerless Newport, on the weekend 2-1. I just think Mansfield are a different beast at the moment. They really are. They've beaten teams. Oh, if we're bringing the Pizza Trophy into it, Mansfield have beaten Derby recently. So that's a feather in their cap. They beat Barrow 2-0 away. Good. They beat Walsall 2-1. They had that disappointing draw with Hartlepool, but they did come back from 2-0 down on a Friday night. And I just think Mansfield just have so many threats. Will Swan, the hero, coming off the bench in midweek. He looks like a really shrewd loan signing from Nottingham Forest. I just like Mansfield. I just think they've got so much more to offer than Crawley at the moment. And, Crawley have scored just 12 goals this season as well. It's pretty grim for Crawley, I would say. And yeah, I'm all in on Mansfield. I like what I see from them.
Yeah, completely on board with that one. For me, we're going to go back to the tried and trusted Tranmere Rovers. We've tipped these out for a couple of weeks now. Still keep doing a job for us. They're 2.02 to win away at Harrogate Town. And I feel like I trust Tranmere, home or away. Preferably at home, but they seem to be pretty equally good away from home at the moment, which is great for us. They've won 5 in a row, all to 0. So what's not to like about that? Harrogate have beat Hartlepool in their most recent game last weekend, but prior to that, they'd lost 7 of the last 8 games. So I still take that as a team who are very much struggling. I'm not going to see that Hartlepool result as a big turning point or anything like that. I'll only potentially see it as a turning point if they then follow it up with something against Tranmere this weekend. For now, I'm happy to go with Tranmere because, like I say, they're for me the Plymouth of League Two. You know, we keep tipping them out week after week. They keep delivering for us week after week. And yeah, they're just not conceding any goals either. So puts the cherry on the top for me.
Yep, all in on that. Let's talk about, I think this is a derby, but it's like one of those derbies that's brand new. And I've just manufactured it in my head. Salford and Stockport. I'm assuming these two teams, you know, quite close geographically, both got a bit of money, especially Stockport got a younger fan base. So I'm thinking it might be a bit of a derby. Anyway, interestingly, both teams are priced up at 2.62. Both teams. The draw's 3.25. We're going with a home team. I am not convinced by Stockport on the road. They did beat Bradford 1-0 at Valley Parade. Penalty for the goal. That's their only result. They've lost their other 5. I'm not ready to jump all over that and say that Stockport are going to, you know, go on and start climbing the table now, especially away from home. And Salford, I would love Salford to have, you know, done a little bit better at home. Their record is pretty average, to be honest with you. But some good results recently that kind of get me to sit up and take notice a little bit. And, you know, Salford showing me that they can be trusted and they are a good side. A 1-0 away win at Northampton is good. I think a draw against Grimsby is pretty solid. They beat Harrogate recently. They've beaten Stevenage at home this season. You know, I feel like when they turn it on, they've got what it takes. And yeah, Stockport, I'm not being fooled by a penalty and a single away win in 6. Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. Brave man, you know, I wasn't going to touch that one either way, but good price for Salford if they do come up trumps in this particular game. For me, both teams to score tip, which is priced at 1.8. So that is in the game between Newport County and Colchester United. Newport without a clean sheet in 11 consecutive games. Colchester without a clean sheet in 13 consecutive games. So two sides very much struggling at the back. You know, if I see a stat like that, you know, both teams to score kind of leaps off the page to me. It's not a bad price. A bit of icing on the cake in head-to-head games between the two sides. 4 of the last 5 have also been both teams to score. So yeah, just providing that they can stick the ball in the net. 2 very, very leaky defences here going up against each other.
We love leaky defences against each other.
We do.
We absolutely love it. Yeah, Tom, I'm exhausted both in League 2 and in general, to be honest. So, yeah, I don't have anything left. Do you have anything you want to finish off with?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I was about to say yes, then I just double check the price, and I'm not going to talk about it.
What was it?
Gillingham and Barrow to be under 2.5 goals.
Oh, God.
The price is 1.5, so I don't think it's even worth it.
Pretty grim.
Gillingham, 8 of the last 9 games have been under 2.5 goals. They're ball central. Barrow, 6 of the last 8 have been under 2.5 goals as well. So 2 very dull teams at the moment playing each other.
Yeah, if you've got a season ticket at Gillingham, let us know how bad it's been.
Give it to somebody else.
Yeah, give it to your worst enemy. Right. Let's have a look at last week's treble. I mean, there are curses, and then there are curses. We were let down by the shortest priced team in the 92 on the weekend. It's actually flipping unbelievable. I can't even bring myself to talk about it, to be honest with you. We had Plymouth away at MK. They got the job done. They won 4-1. That's what they do. We had Sheffield Wednesday away at Cambridge. I wasn't sure on that. Tom, you championed them. They won 2-0. And then we thought, do you know what? We'll throw Ipswich in there. It's on an accumulator, so the fact that they're so short, it doesn't matter. It's a good home banker. They lost. They lost to Lincoln 1-0. And on Monday, I was still not over it. I went on a rampage on Twitter asking for match reports and what happened. And I was asking for people who watched the game, like, please explain to me what went on. I needed closure. That's got to be the worst of the season, hasn't it?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, it's just, do you know when a team costs it and they don't even score? It's like, you didn't even give us anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're at home. You're meant to be the best team in League One. We'd say Plymouth are potentially, but the odds are so short. Yeah, bad.
Rubbish.
Bad. Anyway, let's see who will curse this weekend.
By the way, notice how we didn't read Ipswich out this week. They're playing Derby. It's a tough game, but yeah, I'm going nowhere near them. Yeah.
So sorry to one of the 3 teams I'm about to mention, but we're going to go for Plymouth away at Bristol Rovers. Then in League 2, we're going to go for Mansfield away at Crawley Town and Tranmere away at Harrogate. So a £10 example stake will return £99.90.
Oh, I want that to be. I'm one of those people. I need that to be 100. Otherwise, I won't sleep well.
Hopefully, somebody drifts slightly. Yeah.
Yeah. That bothers me. I don't know why, but that needs to be 100. Right. Fantasy football. Let's have a look at that. It's a bit weird because obviously Tom mentioned we've got a couple of games to go tomorrow and we haven't got those points in. But I will read out the top 10 as it stands just to give them that moment in the sun. 10th, Johan Ekstrom. 9th, Danny Whiteman. 8th, Douglas Mustode. 7th, Andrew Burley. 6th, James Ingham. 5th, Sammy Walton. 4, Ian Dawson. 3, Phil Basley. 2, Daniel O'Reilly. And still top, Dan Pinsker, who is just an absolute genius at this, to be honest with you. But as I said, 2 more games to go with bonus points and all that kind of stuff to play. So it could all change.
I despise fantasy football.
It's crap.
Every single week for like the last 6-7 weeks, I feel like I've been on this podcast like going, I hate fantasy football. I hate this section. Because we get red arrows every week.
Do you know what? I will say I'm going to campaign for draft next season, fancy draft, because
right, I'm all for the alternative because I'm shit at this.
I tell you what, I'm 4th in one league and I'm top of the other one in fantasy draft. Like I'm absolutely flying. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't have 300. It doesn't have 350 people in, but I like that one. Regular fantasy, the classic, is killing me.
Maybe we'll do both next year.
Yeah.
So we can at least maybe have more of a chance in the draft.
Yeah, sounds good. Guys, if you have enjoyed the show, please consider following us on Twitter, T_FB podcast. If you're not following, you're missing out on ramblings about teams that don't win. You're missing out on a midweek Twitter tips. They're exclusive to Twitter, hence the name. And you're missing out on just a good community, really. We're almost at 3,000 followers, so we'd love it if you could help us get there by following us on T_FB podcast.
Yeah, and as usual, guys, if you have enjoyed the show, please give us a like and review wherever you listen to your podcast. That'll really help us along, and we'd appreciate that one. And other than that, check out the Matchbook sign-up offer. Remember, £30 back as a free bet using the sign-up code TFB podcast. That's at matchbook.com. Apart from that, best of luck in all your bets for this weekend. As Tom says, get in touch on socials. Let us know what you've got on. If you get any winners, we love to see them. And we'll see you again, same time next week.